Two-time Grammy Award-winning artist, Louisiana's own Lauren Daigle.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You are here because you have seen the imminent destruction of the United States of America as we know it. It began with COVID. It began with fear. We were forced into lockdown. No work, no school, no social interactions. The only form of communication was social media and mainstream media, both of which are compromised. Then the stimulus checks were sent out to quell us, to keep us calm. Then tracking and tracing was implemented. Then riots began. Then the defunding of our law enforcement. Then the systematic destruction of our historical monuments. This is no longer about a virus. This is about control. This is about the destruction of the constitutional republic our forefathers fought and died for 244 years ago. They want us to keep the fight on social media, where they control the narrative. They want us in our homes, muzzled with masks, arguing with our friends over what happens next. They want us afraid. They want us to feel helpless. They want us to wait until the fight comes to our homes, our house, so that one at a time they can slowly pick us apart. They want to make an example of us and do it while we're not organized, while we're not in great numbers or in masses. This is not about a virus. This is about division. This is about taking away our freedoms one at a time, slowly, so that by the time we recognize what's happening, it is too late. You are witnessing the destruction of the Republic and the installation of socialism and communism. But you are here because you've seen this all coming. You are here because you have a voice that has not been heard. You are here because you are the lifeblood of this great nation. We are the silent majority, and we are done being silent. For massive change to occur, massive action must be taken. I want you to remember this. It comes straight from our Declaration of Independence. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. This fight is in your hands. The success of this mission is in your hands. Nothing like this has ever been done before. And I'll say it again. We are the silent majority. We are limitless. We will succeed. This is our country, and we are taking it back. Patriots, this is your call.
Good evening and welcome to Freedom Forum. There's never a dull moment, you know what I mean? I didn't watch a whole lot of the impeachment stuff today because I just think it's ridiculous. Again, watch Dan Bongino. He'll give you a real good deal on the impeachment. It's really funny, impeaching a president that's not in office. Brilliant, beautiful Democrats. Let's say a prayer and get started here. Jesus, if there's ever a time we needed to look to you and pray to you and look at your blessings that you give us every day, we have our challenges ahead of us. We got to keep the church, because I know they're going to come after the church one day. And we got to keep you in front of us and not behind. In your name we pray. Amen. A lot of things coming up here in Lafayette. The gun show, Classic Arms Productions Gun and Knife Show, will be on February 20th and the 21st at the District Event Center, which is at 4607 Johnston Street. Saturday will be from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It says bring your mask and face covering as they are required for all attendees. Masks will be sold at the door for $1. Face coverings may include homemade mask, scarves, bandanas, or a handkerchief. A handkerchief? A big handkerchief. The requirement of a face covering does not apply if covering the nose and mouth poses a significant mental or physical health risk to the individual. It said they will be operating under the guidelines set by the state of Louisiana for phase 2 opening of businesses. The governor kept us there for another 21 days or whatever it is. You know, we're all worried about COVID and all that, and this is kind of an interesting article that a friend of mine passed on. It gives a really interesting approach to how all this started and how much of it is reliable. It says the Chinese biological laboratory in Wuhan is owned by GlaxoSmithKline, who by coincidence owns Pfizer, the one who produces the vaccine for the virus that by coincidence started in a biological laboratory in Wuhan, which by coincidence was funded by Dr. Fauci, who is by coincidence promoting the vaccine. Okay. GlaxoSmithKline by coincidence is managed by BlackRock Finances, who by coincidence manages the finances of the Open Foundation Company, better known as the Soros Foundation, which by coincidence serves the French AXA. By coincidence, Soros owns the German company Witherther, which by coincidence built the Chinese laboratory in Wuhan, and was bought by the German Alliance, which by coincidence has a Vanguard as a stock shareholder, which by coincidence is a shareholder of BlackRock, which by coincidence controls the central banks and manages about 1/3 of the global investment capital. BlackRock, by coincidence, is also a major shareholder of Microsoft, the property of Bill Gates, who by coincidence is a shareholder of Pfizer, which you remember is selling the miracle vaccine, and by coincidence is currently the first sponsor of the WHO, World Health Organization. So now you understand how a dead bat sold in a wet market in China infected the entire planet. It's an interesting little article. In Lafayette last night, quite an interesting council meeting, especially for the city with the mask mandate, which failed. I don't think that it had to do, the failure, at least on my part, did not have to do with the wearing of the mask. It was the rules and honestly, taking time away from the police force to give you a ticket for not wearing your mask, I think it endangered the public. I think that it's your choice whether you wear the mask or not. That's my choice, my opinion. But watching what took place last night was sad. Really sad that we've come to this, that we can't discuss things. I think that a lot of the people are just tired of being told what they can and can't do. That's what it comes down to. And the mask mandate failed 3-2. We already have a mandate from the state. And when I look at that mandate from the state, we've had that for what, at least 10 months now? Have the numbers changed? No. So what is the real issue? The other thing that was pointed out to me was the fact that last year there were the lowest number of deaths by heart attack, stroke, and other major diseases. The CDC says that probably only 6% of the actual deaths reported of COVID were actually due to COVID. So who knows what and where. I observed that last night. Very interesting. I think before I get into this next one, let's show that video, "The Freedom is Everything."
Is freedom? Is it allowing others to decide what's best for you, while this is how they live their lives, and this is how you live yours? You, I, all of us, are defined by something far greater than the material, far greater than our skin, gender, or race. That you, I, all of us, are defined by our individuality, by our very soul, created under God as divine and unique. That we as individuals have power over ourselves and our actions, and that despite the risks, we have a fundamental fundamental right in this great nation to stand tall and make those choices. But despite our differences, we can take a step back and live and let live and see that through it all, we all want the same. Our loved ones safe and fed and cared for. Our fundamental ability to express our views, dreams, and hopes unchallenged by accusations and hatred. And most of all, censorship. And to drown out the voices seeking to divide us and to face our own hypocrisy.
Please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Biggest terror threat in this country is white men.
I'd like to punch him in the face.
The only modern Western democracy that I can think of that said anything close to this is the Third Reich, Nazi Germany.
And sadly, we have forgotten that freedom was never free. That freedom was a result of great sacrifice. And we sit today with the great realization that freedom, despite all its greatness, can be taken in an instant. The greatest achievement of the American people was the realization that freedom was worth fighting for. So what is freedom? Freedom is more than a moment, more than a single action. Freedom is greater than any single idea. Freedom is everything.
Freedom is everything. And right now, with what the Biden administration is doing, is we're going to start and lose a lot of our freedoms. One of the big things that happened this week is that the Supreme Court ruled that the governor in California cannot keep people from going to church, which I think is a huge deal. I mean, freedom of religion. And you have one person that sits in the governor's seat that says you can't go to church. You can't gather in a church. Full hockey. So the Supreme Court overruled the governor of California. Amen to them. There's so many things based around January 6th that it's really sickening, just like the impeachment and everything. Now, a new ad takes aim at Higgins, calls for him to resign his seat. He's really the only one standing up, and we'll watch a video here a little while that Higgins just put out. Congressman accused of using seditionist rhetoric. A Lafayette man is behind an ad that hit YouTube and cable TV this week, painting Congressman Clay Higgins as an Oath Keepers supporter whose rhetoric helped to incite the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. What? They want, well, Kenneth Miller recently formed the Political Action Committee Blackthorn PAC that paid for the ad, he said Tuesday. A resident of Lafayette, Miller is a founding partner in Black Rose Advisors and vice president of mergers and acquisitions with Colliers International. According to the LinkedIn profile, he is the sole officer of Blackthorn LLC, according to the Louisiana Secretary of State's office online database. A Republican from Lafayette, Higgins replied through a spokesman, I'm not concerned with targeted lies and false attacks coming from left-wing organizations. I'm a constitutionalist. I work for we the people, and I'll continue to do so. Socialist lies mean zero to me. Higgins was dubbed the Cajun John Wayne. We know about that. In a news release Tuesday, Miller said while watching the January 6th attack on the Capitol, he decided to make sure what happened is not forgotten and to hold accountable those whose rhetoric incited the attack, including Congressman Higgins. He said in an obvious choice, Blackthorn's first ad, which aims to force the congressman to answer for his words and actions. Excuse me. Can someone who's so far out there actually do anything for constituents like create jobs and fix our roads, he asked. I don't see how that's possible. It said Higgins threatened Governor John Bel Edwards. Wouldn't say he threatened him. He just told the governor that he thinks he's just a little bit over the top. Higgins also threatened to kill protesters in a Facebook post that led to large armed demonstration in Lafayette. They stretched the truth big time. The Blackthorn PAC ad shows Higgins saying if Republicans lose the House, Senate, and White House in 2020, patriots are going to have some hard decisions to make. And you know what? He's not wrong. Look at what's happened already in less than a month. I mean, it's groups like this that stir the pot and don't tell the truth. I want to hear Clay Higgins explain what he meant by these hard decisions. Pretty easy, Mr. Miller. I want him to explain why he is a member of both Oath Keepers and Three Percenters, and in fact has a 3%er logo on his pistol grip and campaign t-shirts. Clay Higgins needs to tell us all what he's really up to and what he really wants to see happen to this country.
Yes, he wants a constitutional republic unlike you.
What?
Nothing. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, this is the rhetoric that's going on. I can't get over how a good percentage of America just doesn't see what's happening. I'm going to go through this again. This is the third week or whatever that I've done this. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir, but maybe some other people in here will get the idea. But this is what is happening. How to Create a Socialist State by Saul Alinsky from his book, Rules for Radicals. And I highly recommend you pick that up and read it. There are 8 levels of control that must be obtained before you are able to create a social state. The first step is the most important. Healthcare. Control healthcare and you control the people. I want you to think that if they open up the borders, which a judge put a stop to for now, they open up the borders. How do we know what those people are bringing into this country, for one thing? And number two, they want to give them everything for free. Nothing's for free. Who's going to pay? You and me. And we may not even be able to get our health care. Oh, Jim, that's really far out there. Go talk to people in Cuba and Venezuela about health care. Now, here's another one you want to talk to the people in Venezuela about. Poverty. Increase the poverty level as high as possible. They accomplished that. Look at Cuba. I saw pictures of Cuba 60 years later. Buildings. It's just ugly. Poor people are easier to control and will not fight back if you are providing everything for them to live. That way you are able to increase taxes and this will produce more poverty. Number 4, this is the one they're going to have a tough time with and then maybe not. Remove the ability to defend themselves from government. That way you are able to create a police state. And what do you hear a lot of these communities? Defund the police department. Excuse me? Call a social worker if somebody broke into your house. They said they were going to put me on restriction. I posted a thing that said you can vote your way into socialism, but you have to shoot your way out. Now, before the deal on January 6th, they never said anything. That post has been going on for years. And I got a little notice from Facebook that my page would be put on restriction. Hello? Because I was just short of inciting a riot. I still like the video, and I don't think I have it up on there, but that shows all the, it's the one called They Try Painting Trump. But we're not going to show that. But the thing is that many, including Pelosi and Schumer and all of them, have made many comments to incite a riot. Welfare. Take control of every aspect of their lives, food, housing, and income. One of the things that Trump did is, I don't know the exact numbers, but there were millions that got off of welfare. Lowest people, most people back to work in forever. Education. This is the one that's been going on for quite some time. Take control of what people read and listen to. Takes control of what children learn in school. That's the key. What are they learning in school? I heard they're teaching Black Lives Matters ideology in some of the schools now. Really? But you can't have the Bible in school. Speaking of the Bible, religion. Remove the belief in God from the government and schools. Self-explanatory. Absolutely amazing. And here's the one they've really created, and this started really big time back in Obama days. And maybe before, well before. Class warfare. Divide the people into wealthy and the poor. This will cause more discontent, and it will be easier to take or tax the wealthy with the support of the poor. Now think, does any of this sound like what is happening to the United States? I mean, you have a guy that we are estimating by shutting down the pipeline, we figure at least pipeline jobs, 11,000 plus, T was saying 30% outside entities that supply the people and the pipes and all that. At least 14,000 people out of work with one swipe of the pen, plus shutting down all contract and drilling and whatever on federal land. Killing jobs, killing the energy industry. So with that note, Mr. Higgins has put out a video called Higgins Fighting for American Energy. And we're going to run that right now.
When I speak today on behalf of the thousands of families in Louisiana whose livelihoods are dependent on the oil and gas industry. Government-mandated forced closures as a response to the COVID pandemic have already forced tens of millions of Americans into financial ruin. The virus didn't destroy our economy. Oppression of freedoms at the state level did. Now, despite the incredible economic impact that Americans have already suffered at the hands of many state governors, the Biden administration wasted no time launching a full-scale assault on the oil and gas industry. Through executive decree, President Biden is pushing job-killing energy policies that will send production overseas and further injure America's economy. Sadly, this is only the beginning. In the first 2 weeks, we've seen the administration revoke permits for the Keystone XL pipeline, enact a drilling moratorium for federal lands and waters, rejoin the misguided Paris Agreement, and begin implementing Green New Deal standards. These executive policies do not represent the best interest of the American people. They will immediately result in the destruction of American jobs, higher energy costs, and the loss of American energy dominance. They will undermine global security by reducing America's influence across the globe. The world runs on oil and gas energy. Petroleum-based products are used to produce virtually everything, everywhere. Those who will benefit the most from President Biden's executive orders include China and Russia. Heading into 2021, the oil and gas industry was already struggling. Worldwide economic lockdowns had greatly reduced energy demands. However, the industry was beginning to rebound, and new construction projects like the Keystone XL pipeline were in progress. The industry was standing back up. These jobs were returning. Our president should be taking action to encourage growth, create new jobs, and to bolster America's energy security. However, the Biden administration's action not only destroy existing jobs, but also ensure that pre-pandemic production may never return. President Biden seems determined to destroy America's energy dominance. If fully enacted, the radical Biden climate agenda will cost upwards of 6 million American jobs and cost the U.S. economy trillions of dollars in productivity. This shift in policy has been carried out in the name of conservation and environmentalism. However, the argument that this helps our climate is absurd. Oil and gas production won't end. It will only move overseas where it's far less regulated. Sending energy production to countries with horrible ecological records is the worst thing we can do for the climate. It's not just bad for America, it's bad for the world. American innovation is driving emissions reductions worldwide. We are the global leader in this effort, in large part because of the advent of LNG. Private companies are running cleaner operations. That's not happening through government mandates. It's happening because innovation is good for business. The result is cleaner, more efficient fuel production. In Congress, I will continue to push back against this war on oil and gas. My office will pursue every legally available action and support legislation that protects American workers and their livelihoods. We are battling to protect the gains that we've achieved under President Trump. This battle is only beginning. I'm in the fight.
Was a video that Mr. Higgins, Mr. Clay, puts it right on the line, and he challenges the Biden administration. I read that article earlier to where, see if I can find it, where he said he wants Higgins to explain the hard decisions we're going to have to make. Well, the hard decisions are that there are people unemployed now with the swipe of a pen. Just took the pen, signed it. He probably didn't even know what he was signing. He does now, because he's getting a lot of kickback. What has that done? Louisiana, I mean, with the pandemic, there was less of a call worldwide for oil. So the oil industry, yes, was in problems. And I saw a post where Shell, I think it is going to lay off 9,000 workers. And that doesn't go to this administration, that just goes to what happened with the pandemic. Because there just isn't a call for a supply of oil. The supply, we have an abundance. What is the purpose of the Biden administration? What is their purpose to shut down all of this? What do you think? I think it's to take control of everything. There is no way, and I don't think they're stupid. I think with any intelligence, they should know that just about everything we have, this shirt, whatever, are made from oil byproducts. Are we going to have a nation with electric cars? I don't think so. I don't think there's enough natural resources. I know that I have some other things to talk about here, but probably I was going to get to it this hour, but I definitely want to talk about the library. But you see, the oil business is being killed, totally damaged by all of this. Was it going to be good either way? I don't think so. How much of the pandemic is real and isn't real? I mean, it's real if you get sick, but it's also real if you get the flu or a heart attack or stroke or whatever. What are the real numbers? What are the actual real numbers? I know that the governor changed how he gives reports to the parishes. He used to put the names of all the people that were tested and tested positive, until a couple parishes up in northwest Louisiana started going through the names and finding that some of the names were on there 3 and 4 times, which juiced the numbers. So the governor didn't like that. So what he does now is he doesn't send the names. He just sends the numbers. What are we hiding? Why are we doing that? I think it's all about money. It's definitely about money. You know, the discussion last night, how effective are the masks? You know, I mean, there's pros and cons both ways. I don't doubt that. And I don't fault anybody that wears a mask. That's their choice. But you see, there's the key word. It's their choice. I'm not purposely going to walk up to somebody that has a mask on and say, "What's wrong with you?" But part of the mandates that failed last night were kind of extraordinary. I mean, can you imagine cutting your grass with the mask on? in this weather? I can't. All I know is I would have had to set aside money for the fines that I would probably get. But that's me. Why are we, it's a fear factor. It's a control factor. We don't know what the real story is. We absolutely don't. Mr. Clay gave a pretty good picture of what's going on. I mean, when you look at this, when you look at this, the 8 levels of control, the key word is control. In other words, the government wants to control. These people have been working at getting in this position for at least 50, 60, 70 years. I look at, I can't watch. I'm sorry. It says, I have a thing here. I mean, did Trump really incite what took place in Washington, D.C.? Did he really do that? If you watch his speech that he gave before the attack started, it actually started before his speech ended. But he didn't tell those people to run over there. I think the statement I heard him make was, I understand y'all are going to leave here and march over to the Capitol. What is the real deal? They want to get, Trump got in their way when he won the election. They thought they had it made with Hillary, and they were going to institute this. How many of you realize we would not have known how crooked the Democrats are if it wouldn't have been for Trump? And I know there's some of them out there. There you go again, Jim. Well, there I go again, because it's a fact. You tell me how somebody makes $225,000 a year and ends up with $100 and some million package. Tell me, how did that happen? Do y'all know that Nancy Pelosi bought 1.25 million shares of Tesla 2 days before Biden announced the deal for electric cars? Really? And after he announced that, the stock went up $200. So you figure out how much money she made. And I find out we can't do anything to those people for insider trading.
Exactly.
How is that so? If you and I did that, man, we on our way to jail. I did watch a little bit. I think it's interesting in the impeachment deal, how we were talking earlier that you're supposed to have a chief justice that oversees the impeachment to the Supreme Court. Roberts said he wouldn't do it. So basically, they can't do the impeachment. But they can. Because I listened to this Democrat talk and show how they could get around the deal. Is it true or not? I couldn't tell you. But the funny part is I was on the phone asking somebody that I trust, can the House impeach a former president without Chief Justice overseeing it? Go ahead, caller.
Yes, I would like to talk to the man who on TV.
That's me.
Well, I'm calling in. I want to talk to him who's saying all this damn nonsense.
What?
How are you laughing at? Y'all a bunch of fucking Klansmen and raising just like Trump.
Thank you. I appreciate the phone call. You know, it's amazing to get a call like that. What did he say? Funny business? I cannot get over the fact that people can't see what's going to happen to them if this continues. Seriously, continues. I didn't write all this stuff. I'm reporting it. I bet a lot of it. I believe a lot of it. The big question is, can the House impeach a former president? That guy calling after I made the comment that you can't impeach, you have to have a Chief Justice oversee the impeachment procedures. I didn't write that. That's in the rules. I watched a Democrat dance around that, and what he really said was, sir, is that because Trump is not in office, that Biden is our president, which he is, that there's an article that says they don't need a Chief Justice. They just changed the rules to fit their deal. I'll say this blatantly. Trump did not incite that riot. And there's video upon video to prove what really took place. But the question is, can the House impeach a former president? Representative Matt Gaetz was widely mocked yesterday for suggesting during the impeachment hearing that maybe it's a different president we should be impeaching, by which he meant the one who left office in January of 2017. He soon clarified via Twitter that he did indeed mean to say the House can impeach former presidents. I think he is probably right about that. That is not an easy case, and there is not a scholarly consensus on this point, but it is plausible that within the authority of the House to impeach former federal officers. Rather awkwardly, the framers separated the impeachment power into several different clauses sprinkled across the Constitution. Notably, the Constitution grants to the House of Representatives the sole power of impeachment. It separately specifies that President, Vice President, and other civil officers shall be removed if convicted upon impeachment, and limits the Senate to doing no more than removing from office and disqualifying from future office when rendering a judgment in an impeachment trial. So in practice, disqualification from future office has rarely been an issue of the federal impeachments. The House has rarely requested it. Only 3 officers, all judges, have been disqualified from the future office by the Senate. Removing a problematic officer has often been treated as the sole purpose of the impeachment power, but I think that is the mistake. The impeachment power can and has served other purposes than just removing a sitting officer. If removal is the only purpose an impeachment can serve, then there would never be any point in the House voting to impeach when it knew the Senate would not convict. When the framers entrusted the House with the power of impeachment, what did they think that power encompassed? They did not say very much about it, but the English parliamentary practice from which they were borrowing did not restrict impeachments to current office holders. So when the impeachment power was transplanted to American shores, it was explicitly shorn of some British features. Americans did not impeach private citizens. But some state constitutions explicitly authorized their legislators to impeach former officers. So what's the bottom line on this? We don't know. If it is or isn't. There's no concrete, flat-out thing that I know, and it's in this article, that says they can or can't. Personally, a lot of people I know, and people that know a lot more than I do, think it's just a witch hunt. In the second hour, I'm going to touch on this a little bit. We'll probably show a video of a wall with guards that the Democrats said they don't like walls and they want to tear down the border wall, which would be a real major disaster to the American people. Why do they have that wall up around the Capitol? What are they afraid of? I think they're afraid of the people. Because Americans are used to being free, not restricted. You know, free speech. We saw some things take place that were just amazing. Trump gets shut down, and Twitter, Facebook is fact-checking everything. I haven't seen him fact-check anything a Democrat said. But you see, they're constantly blaming us for the violence when it's really on them. We made the latter part of the second hour. T, I don't know if you have it teed up, but the one where the next time they try painting Trump, we might show that to show how many people in the Democratic side of this over the years, Maxine Waters especially, and you know what? She just came out and said she never incited anything. I mean, all she did was tell the people, if they come in your restaurant, harass them. I don't know if that's inciting something, but free speech, First Amendment. Although freedom of speech exists in America, all speech is not free. There is a cost. On Monday, the U.S. Senate began debating whether to hold Donald Trump accountable for inciting the Capitol insurrection that resulted in the death of 5 individuals, including Capitol police officers. For 4 years, all they've done is try and get that guy out of office. And one of the amazing things is he accomplished a lot. He accomplished a lot. I'll talk more about this in the second hour. In the second hour, this here will take a little while. I want to talk about the real truth a former librarian doesn't want you to know. and why she resigned so quickly. It's pretty interesting what goes on. We had the mask mandate thing last night. We got Bill Cassidy. Wow. It's really interesting. I don't think taxpayers realize that all these impeachment processes we're going through, we pay for them. You and I pay for those. And at this point, Trump's out of office. So why are we doing this? What is the real purpose? They don't ever want him to be able to run for office again. A president who brought more industry back to the United States. We'll be back in a little while in the second hour. Thanks for watching the first hour. God bless.